And welcome into What the Music. Very excited, as always, to bring you the latest and greatest in music. And I've been super excited for my next guest, Velvet Starlings, as we just heard the song Technicolor Shakedown. Very excited to talk to Christian Gisborne from the band. He's the singer, guitarist, keyboard, and all-around great hair guy, as we discussed earlier. Let's real quick talk about your hair. Do you just wake up having just great hair? You know, like a lot of people, they make their hair and it's very contrived. You know, is your hair contrived?
I try my best to make it all look crazy, but last night I took a shower, went to bed, and haven't looked in the mirror up until right in this point where I can see myself in the thing, and I'm realizing it's looking a bit like, what's his face? The Penguin in the Gotham TV show, where it's like pointing up, but it's going out there, and it's going over here and over there. So, yeah, this was an accident.
It's very becoming, but don't get me wrong, it's very becoming of you, and it really shapes kind of your sound and what you guys are doing right there with Velvet Starlings. And by the way, let me give you guys a plug, velvetstarlings.com. This is a website and, of course, a name of the band that you have to look out for, because I found you guys, and I was completely floored with your sound, absolutely loved it. And wanted to talk to you a little bit about psychedelia. That is kind of what I guess people are looping you into. But for me, it's kind of like a hybrid of like the Hives.
The Hives?
Yes.
Oh, Sweden. Alfele Almqvist. Yeah, I love the Hives. The Hives are one of my favorite bands, like, around. I was just, my drummer, Foster, we got in, because we just played a show on Saturday, and, I got in, and he was on the couch, and he was like, bro, you gotta check out this band, The Hives, and I was like, dude, one step ahead, I got all 4 albums on vinyl, you gotta start rocking out to them, and, yeah, I love The Hives. They're like one of those bands where they almost like there's no pedals even, it's just amp distortion, and you can tell, like, when they play, they try and break their strings on every song. It's like their goal. And they have the awesomest suits. And but they definitely got some psychedelia in their music. Like, especially, what's that record? The third record, the Black and White album. A song, Won't Be Long, where there's, like, reverbed out strings going on in it and stuff. And they definitely, they have that, you know, garage rock, intense punk feel, but with that psych element, which is, yeah, like you're drawing the connection to Velvet Starlings. I think for Velvet Starlings, our sound is definitely, you know, we want to be fast and because we've been trying to play, you know, getting with the OC scene and house shows and stuff like that, and getting a bit more punk rock, because our last 2 releases, they're definitely 60s influenced, but there's not as much distortion going on. But on this new record, our debut album, Technicolor Shakedown, I actually did it in my living room. So I recorded everything myself with one microphone, which meant that recording the drums was really, really hard. And so I have, like, vocal distortion going over, like, preamp distortion going over every single thing, like the drums, the organs, everything. So it's really, really crunchy, but I think that's the sound we're going for. We actually have our next record done, and that we finished it before that record, but we didn't want to put it out in COVID because, you know, like, you can't tour it, people aren't going to be as into it, so we saved it, and I did another one, and that is Technicolor Shakedown, and that's going to be coming out in the next couple months. And you play the title track, I guess, pretty recently, so, yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Really enjoyed the sound, and you just played a live show. Now, was this your first live show since like last year? Take me through that.
So yeah, like, let me think. A year and a half ago, we were gearing up. It was like that one weird week where everyone was like, we had these flights to South by Southwest. We finally got on official, and we had great escape, all this awesome stuff going on. And then it all got destroyed with COVID, and it was the freaking worst year. And then just a couple days ago, our guitar player, Ashton, he was like, hey, dudes, the ASB president is wondering if we could play at the high school barbecue at 12 in the morning. And we were like, oh, yeah, why not? Let's play a show. And there were masks and everything, but that was really fun. And then we had a little mini house party on Saturday, and it was a pretty fun time. And we're actually going to be playing at Santa Monica Pier this Saturday. So that's going to be fun. And I think I think Biden just said that everyone this morning is eligible for the vaccine now. So all ages. So I think things are going to be looking up, at least by fall or the end of the summer. So, yeah.
Right. And just like the vaccine, you are now for all ages. You know what I mean? So it really works out quite tremendously. You know, you seem young. And I just want to know, how did psychedelia come into your life? Because, psychedelia is not something that we all, like, search for, you know what I mean? It's, you know, I grew up kind of with it, with the Doors, you know, of course, here in Los Angeles, them being an extremely influential, so they were always around, you know, with me growing up. But I'm just curious how psychedelia came into your life.
So let's start at the beginning. So first off, I'm 17 years old, so I've not experimented with psychedelia, you know, taking a trip into another dimension just yet. But I don't plan to for a minute. One day, maybe. But I feel like right now, you know, the lights and the music itself can give me that feeling at the moment. So basically, when I was like 6 years old, I heard I Am the Walrus for the first time. And I saw all these words, and I didn't even understand what they were. I would see, like, you know, elementary penguin singing Hare Krishna, all this stuff. And I didn't know what any of the words meant, so I'd try and look up what these phrases meant, and I'd get definitions full of words I didn't even understand. And it was this weird feeling of listening to the music with all the strings and all the stuff happening where I had never heard anything like it. And then I got into Tomorrow Never Knows and all this stuff. Because I feel like a lot of the people, when the Beatles were coming out, they heard the Beatles doing I Want to Hold Your Hand, and then psychedelic stuff happened. It was like, whoa, this is weird. And then they were on to, you know, Abbey Road, jamming, getting into the million different genres. But for me, I heard that psychedelic stuff, and I said, I want more of this. Who else does this? And then I got into the Doors, you know, and I became a huge Ray Manzarek fan. I worship him, and then I got into playing keys. And then you find out that, you know, psychedelia didn't die in the 60s. There's a million rock and roll bands who are out right now, like, you know, King Gizzard, Ty Segall, OCs, Frankie and the Wishfingers, so many awesome bands right now doing that same sound. And, yeah, I'm just a huge fan of, that's another thing, is trying to create something new. Because there's a lot of bands that love the 60s, and for a while I was like, I want to get the exact sounds and just pretend I'm in the 60s. And then you realize, like, with the OCs, what they're able to do, or King Gizzard, all these bands, they took, you know, punk, the energy and the feelings and the rawness and all that crazy stuff, and then took the psychedelic aspect and the colors and the positivity of it, and they mixed it. And it's this crazy, weird thing that I don't think really existed until the 2000s, the idea of psych punk. And if it did, it wasn't fully manifested and created until the 2000s. And I feel like we finally found a place where we fit in, and I'm just really excited to finally get our music out there. And because we have stuff out there, but it's a lot more, it's weird because back in the day, you know, if you didn't have money and experience with recording, you ended up sounding like the Sonics, where you have badass distortion because, you know, you just have to use one mic, and if you want to hear the vocals, you better put the amp closer to the microphone. But nowadays, it's like the opposite, where the less you have, the less gear you have, and the less experience you have, you sound almost too good and overproduced because computers are so awesome now, and everything's gonna have a studio sound because there's gonna be no reverb. As opposed to back then, they're like, how can we get the studio sound? We don't have enough money for it. Now it's like you do it in your room and everything sounds, there's like no reverb. You hear it. It's a totally different thing. But yeah, I think this new record is really garagey and I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, it seems like you are, and everything that you guys are doing is being endorsed. You guys are being welcomed by so many people. I saw that you hosted a Tower Records Live event, and I mean, I'm like, wow, that's a major endorsement. Tell me about that.
Oh, that was super fun. Got to go on the live stream with Whitney Moore. She's super cool. She likes all the psych bands talking about Temples and Foxygen. And it was fun because I over COVID, you know, I've always had vinyl and stuff, and I have a record player that I got for Secret Santa a couple of years ago, and it was a really cheap one. One of those ones where if you have a nice record, you don't put it on there because you're going to mess it up. But over COVID, I got specifically the band King Gizzard. I've given them like $1,000 of my money over COVID. Getting all the weird pressings. Actually, we were just practicing on Thursday, I think, and I set an alarm, but we were in the middle of a song, and I missed it, and they sold out in like 3 minutes, their new record. But, yeah, it was super fun on Tower Records, you know, bringing up the collection, talking about different records that matter to you, and also just the fact that vinyl, like, I heard in December, I think it was the week of the end of November to the first week of December, vinyl made more money that week in 2020 than it had in 30 full years since 1990, which is crazy to me. That means that, like, it's totally coming back. It's back. And, you know, rock and roll is on its way back to the front.
It is. And, you know, people say rock and roll is dead, and I am not that guy. You know, I'm like, it's around, you know what I mean? It's just taken on so many different life forms. You know, it's not the rock and roll that I remember, but it's still rock and roll, you know, and there's tons of bands paving the way. Thing that always gets me, too, is, you know, they're always saying that there are no bands left. There are no bands out there. And I'm like, well, you're just not looking hard enough. You know, not everything is going to be spoon-fed to you, which is why I created this program. You know what I mean? I was like, people need to know that there's all these other cool bands out there, such as Velvet Starlings, which, by the way, check them out, velvetstarlings.com. Highly encourage it. Love their music. I've been playing it. Also, I think you're the perfect person to answer this question, especially with rock and roll and whatnot. And that is, I don't know if you saw this or not, or if you're familiar with Saturday Night Live, but there's a guy on there named Pete Davidson. Okay, and I just found out that he's been tapped to play the role of Joey Ramone for a Ramones biopic. And I love the Ramones. They're one of my all-time favorite bands. I love their covers specifically. Needles and Pins is perhaps one of my favorite covers by them. And, of course, Back Pages, another one of my favorites by them. But, you know, that led me to think that if you could play anybody in a musical biopic, who do you think you would be suited for?
Me, myself? Oh, my gosh. I have no idea. Like, it would have to be someone... I have no... Who do you think? Let me ask you. Let me turn it around.
Yeah. Well, I mean, first and foremost, you kind of have a Edward Sheeran like face and vibe to you, so I could totally see you doing something like that. But if we were to go like way back in the day, and not contemporary, it would have to be probably somebody from like Jefferson Airplane. You know what I mean?
Oh,
You'd probably,
yeah.
I could see you in the band over there.
I'd have to lose some weight, but I mean, that would be sick. I mean, there's a lot. I think I just gotta get the haircut. I mean, some of those people like Pete Davidson. That's gonna be. I think he's. You know, all he needs is the black wig.
Yeah,
and he's gonna turn into him. So that's gonna be sick.
Yeah,
that's a hard one. I'd have to think about that.
No worries.
That would take a minute.
You can always retort on your TikTok, which I did see and I did check out, and I highly encourage people to go check out your TikTok, which is tiktok.com at Velvet Starlings. I stoked it out, and I noticed that you are into celery juice and making celery juice, which is perfect, by the way, if you want to lose weight, I'm assuming. But is that an LA thing to juice?
Is that an LA thing? Well, here's the thing. It all goes back to this dude, Anthony, the medical medium. And I think he's like friends with Gwyneth Paltrow, or Gwyneth Paltrow talks about all sorts of celebrities have been talking about him, but he's a clairvoyant who basically gets his information about health from spirits and angels and this stuff. And it's this stuff where it's like, it could go either way. It could be totally full of crap, or, you know, you listen to him and you see all these doctors are copying him, and he has all these awesome books where he's not saying anything crazy. He's not saying go buy my stuff. He's just saying, essentially, you know, you should drink this, you should eat that, you gotta stop eating that. And it works for him, and it works for his, like, thousands and thousands of people. And because of that, Jeff Bezos is capitalizing on it and selling, you know, celery really cheap. I mean, it's not like Anthony has a deal with the celery. Have you seen Portlandia? There's that episode where Steve Buscemi, they have like each fruit, and I think he's like a celery dude or something like that. And there's like a whole mob. It's super funny. Portlandia is like my favorite TV show. But yeah, back to that celery. I mean, yeah, it's become an LA fad, but it is a real thing. And I mean, if you juice any vegetable, like you were to take some grass and drink it, that's going to be better than anything you're going to find at, you know, McDonald's. So
I don't know. Their McFlurries are pretty good, and their chicken McNuggets are pretty good. So
that's true. That's true. Yeah, it's definitely not tasty.
Okay,
I juice every morning. Actually, funny you should mention that TikTok. I only did it because there's this song by this band Sloth Rust that I'm a huge fan of, and they have a song called Juice, and I was like, oh man, I'm making juice. I'm gonna use a sound for the first time. And yesterday we're doing this thing. I think it's with Vox Amps through Rooster Teeth. We're playing 2 songs for this pre-recorded thing on Wednesday, and I have to try and get a COVID test before we can do it. But on the bill is this band, Sloth Rust. I just found out last night, and I bought their shirt on Black Friday, and I'm like a mega fan, and I just found out they're going to be playing acoustic. So I'm super excited for that. But yeah, they got a song called Juice.
You gotta make them juice and be like, in honor of juice, I brought you some juice.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Are you gonna wear their shirt?
I have to. I'm actually looking at it right now on the other side of the room. I'm definitely like, I want to wear something like this, but it's good. It's too good an opportunity to pass up. So
that's cool. I love how enthusiastic you are about music and about bands. That is such a heartfelt, you know what I mean? You really enjoy the music, and you really look like you really are having fun with what you are doing. And it resonates, because I saw that you guys are now officially endorsed by Ernie Ball.
Yeah!
Oh, man.
That was really cool to find that out. That was like almost a year ago now, or like 9 months ago. I got really into St. Vincent, and actually, really, the order was because most people, they find out about Slater Kinney through Portlandia, because Carrie's now a super major star. But I actually had never seen Portlandia, and I went to see this band Starcrawler and Skating Polly and Lily at the Fonda, and I met this guy there, and I was like, we were waiting in the line because I was there for a while. And I said, hey, dude, you got any tickets to see any bands that I've seen? He was like, yeah, I'm going to see Slater Kinney next month. And I was like, oh, he's cool. And I sound like a total idiot. And I find out, like, I went and I was looking at their place, like, oh, I'll listen to this band. And I got way too freaking into them. And they were, like, my favorite band, and I would, like, play drums to them all the time. And then I found out that she was a girl from Portlandia, and I was like, whoa, no way. And I started watching that show all the time. And then I found out St. Vincent did their new record, And because I remember seeing the St. Vincent guitar, Jack White was playing it on SNL like a couple of years ago. And then we tried to find, I wanted to get one of those guitars, and I started talking to this guy Tim at Ernie Ball, and they said, you know, would you like to start playing some Ernie Ball stuff? Get a nice little discount on the string? And it was like, hell yeah! So I've been rocking out the St. Vincent at every show. It's like my favorite guitar. It's got locking tuners, so you play a chord, you bend, it doesn't go out of tune. That's the life. And then the Paradigm strings, the unbreaking strings, it's like so many things I just don't have to worry about anymore. So, but yeah, the Ernie Ball, they are where it's at.
Well, I'm super glad that they found you and you found them, and you're being endorsed by them. Very cool. Again, thank you so much for tuning in and coming on the show. Again, when I found you guys, I was just like, who are these guys? I need to talk to them. And 2 months later, here you are. kind of deal. But thank you so much for coming on the show. Truly, truly appreciated. And I want you guys to truly appreciate the van. VelvetStarlings.com is their website. And, of course, find them on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter. I'll have all the links on the show notes. Now, the last song that we are going to leave with is going to be Back of the Train, which, by the way, love the riff. It's a simple riff, and sometimes I think people, why riffs don't work is people overthink it. This riff just seemed very simple and just quick-witted, for lack of a better term. Can you tell me a little bit about how that riff came about and a little bit about the song?
Back of the Train, that riff, it just kind of happened a long time ago, too. I had to have been in, 8th grade, but just messing around with it for a while. That was part of the whole thing with Pacific Standard Time. That was supposed to be our debut album, and then we were like, oh, we can't put it out right now. So it was like, okay, let's go into the back pocket, the voice memos, and check out what we got going. And Back of the Train, it just turned into this song, and now it's going to be the first single. I don't know, with that song, a lot of it came together in the recording process too. It was one of the first songs I was experimenting with the vocal distortion, trying to get that sonic sound where it's in the bridge. There's a point where my voice cracked, and I was looking around. I was like, oh crap, should we just keep that in? Let's just go, because I was like, the only way I'm going to be able to do this is if I get up out of bed, I record all of it, and then it's done. And then next song. And a lot of the things, some of the songs even came together fully in the recording process. So it was a really weird time. And it was pretty recently too. It was in November. So yeah, I like that. I like when stuff, the sound there's a time and a place, and then it's done, and then you put it out there. Like the Beatles, they would just write it, get it on the recording, and it's out there into the world. So,
yeah, I love your brain. You got some good thoughts and some real good clarity happening with what you guys are doing. Again, my guest has been Christian Gisborne from the band Velvet Starlings. Make sure to go check them out. Check out everything that they're doing. It's really cool, really fun. And if you're in Santa Monica this week, make sure to go check them out there. And I'm sure you're going to be having tons more shows. And again, for that, make sure to just log on to velvetstarlings.com to get all the info. I can't wait to see you guys live. It's going to be one of the first, you're going to be one of the first bands, hopefully I get to see, when my schedule works out perfectly. So, make sure to go check them out. And, of course, I will have all the links on entertheshell.com. The last song again that we talked about, is going to be Back of the Train. And, thank you again for, tuning in, and, thanks again.
Thanks so much for having me. Appreciate it. Roll.
In this world it's our time to catch the back of the train.